What is up, YouTube? Most Sports Network here, back with another video in my NFL Power Rankings series. And today we are going to deal with the 30th team in the NFL, the New York Jets, in my eyes. Now, the Jets were not originally my number 30 team. They have actually slid quite a bit from some of the transactions they have made this offseason, and that's why I have such a low outlook on the Jets. However, the Jets were not a team that ranked favorably with me to begin with. They were never a top 25 team in my eyes, even before some of their opt-outs and their transactions. And so that's going to hurt them a bit in my power rankings to have them as low as the 30th team in the NFL. And to start, it's the coaching. Adam Gase entering his third season, or his second season as the head coach of New York, and I just don't know if he has it. Everywhere he's gone, or I guess particularly from Miami to New York, I haven't seen it from Adam Gase that he can construct a roster that can win a lot of games. He went 7-9 last season, which with that roster is commendable. Not bad by any means, but he's going to be dealing with a more diminished roster, in my opinion, this season. And he's going to have a lot of... he's going to have his hands full, to say the least. I'm not going to completely write off Adam Gase, but I also am not completely on the Adam Gase train either, and I don't think many Jets fans are as well. So to start looking at the roster, we have Sam Darnold. He's the quarterback, and he has not shown all that much so far in his tenure in the NFL. Taking a look at his stats here from last season, 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Nothing too great. He's drafted back in 2018.
Yeah, but
My God. Where is that coming from? Well, there we go. Okay. My bad. The video.
there's no Tom Brady in the division. What does this season mean for Darnold, head coach Adam Gase, and this team?
Where is that coming from? Okay, it's gone. Sorry about that interruption. Guess that's a little funny goof for you guys who are watching these videos all the way through. Sam Darnold, not the best season as the Jets quarterback last year. Completion percentage on his career, 50, or about pretty much 60% in his... this will be Sam Darnold's third year as a pro, so this will be to really see what he has to offer for the team. Lots of talent, huge talent in Sam Darnold. I had him as the first overall pick in the draft when I mocked that draft. So I think he has loads of talent, but also there's not much to work with here on this offense. The one weapon that has promise he has to work with is Le'Veon Bell. In Pittsburgh, he was more impressive, to say the least. But assuming we have a season, he's going to have a full off season of I guess he had that the previous season with the Jets, but a whole another year under this whole Jets offense. I think Bell will be more comfortable, especially with less weapons available to the disposal of the Jets. So I think the running game is going to be the strong suit of this Jets offense, especially when Sam Darnold is fighting to keep his quarterback job here. And interceptions are not going to help that, especially with the weak receiving core. I think they can rely on the run game. Backup running back, there is Frank Gore to deal with. Frank Gore always seems to get touches wherever he goes, and I think it'll stay the same in New York. So looking good. Quarterback, forgot to mention Joe Flacco. He's a quality backup. I don't think the team's going to win many games with Darnold. I don't think they're going to win many games with Flacco. But Flacco can at least hold the ship if Darnold has some magical season this year. Going to the receiving core, today the Jets just cut Quincy Enunwa, so it is looking even weaker than usual. The starting X-receiver right now is Brashard Perryman. You also have Jamison Crowder and Denzel Mims. We don't know what we have in Mims yet. A lot of people are high on him. A lot of people are low on him. I'm more on the high end. I had a late first-round grade on him. He goes in the second. So I think that was a good pick by New York. But I also think with a very shortened offseason, I'm not sure what we're going to get from Mims out of the box. So your two proven commodities on this offense is Brashard Perryman and Jamison Crowder. Now, I'm more excited about Crowder than Perryman, but neither of these options are great. I don't think any of them are even number 2 receivers. I think you have 2 threes and a rookie potentially who could have a 1 or 2 upside. So that hurts the Jets a lot, in my opinion. Tight end wise, haven't seen too much from Ryan Griffin, Daniel Brown, Ross Travis thus far. Chris Herndon has done some decent things in New York, but he's not like a top 10 tight end or anything. He maybe has that upside, but I'm looking at him around like the 15 range as far as where I'd rank him around tight ends around the league. He's not horrible. He's probably one of the better receivers on this team, to be honest, but he's not the best tight end. Then we go into the offensive line. As we, I guess not as everyone saw, the Jets did just cut Brian Winters, was it? Their starting right guard last season, so now Greg Van Roten will be forced into that spot. So there is a pretty large mess going on in the offensive line for the Jets here. And I'm not a huge fan of a lot of it. Mekhi Becton, loads of upside. He has potential to be the next best offensive lineman in the league. He also has the downside to be the next, I don't know, who's an offensive line who's ginormous, who ended up horrible. But you could just say he's that. And then the rest of the line, not to go into it too much, but none of them are plus players. They could have average games, they could have bad games. The rest of these 4 players. So there's one very unknown commodity and 4 other guys that I'm just not a huge fan of from across the board for the rest of the offensive line. So I think the offensive line is another weakness for this team. So offensively, there's not much. For this offense to take it all this year, you need a lot to go right. I think you need Mims, Becton, and Darnold to all play better, Becton and Mims to play not like rookies, and you need Darnold to take a big step up for this offense to be a thing. Can it happen? I think it can, especially in the AFC East, which we don't know how strong that division is going to be this year. So it can happen, but there's a lot of question marks. I think the known part of this offense that should succeed, Adam Gase, I don't know if he thinks this way the same way as me. I think the best way to run this offense is a run first. You have Lev Bell, you have Frank Gore, even LaMichael Pirine and Kenneth Dixon are 2 solid backup running backs as well. The running game, I think, is the strongest part of this offense. And even Sam Darnold is athletic to a point, so I think you can execute a nice running game. The receiving game is an issue. And that needs to be addressed down the line as well as the offensive line, which is very weak, other than Mekhi Becton, hopefully, for the Jets' sake, he pans out. So not a high outlook on the offense. We're going to go down to the defense now, and we're going to start with the elephant in the room, the opt-out of C.J. Mosley and the trading of Jamal Adams. Those were the 2 best players on this Jets defense at the moment, and they're both gone now, so that kills them. That is the reason why they dropped to 30th in my power rankings. I had some other videos recorded of teams before the Jets, and I ended up scrapping those videos because I said, no, I'm not going to keep this. The Jets need to fall because of these 2 players missing. Sorry if you can hear my dog upstairs squeaking his toy. Hopefully that's another little goof in the video you guys can enjoy. But just a mess across here. One thing I think this team will be able to do well enough is stop the run. Henry Anderson, Steve McClendon, Quinnen Williams are serviceable. They're a serviceable front 3 on this 3-4 defense. They're their base defense. A lot of things are running nickel nowadays, but these 3 can at least get the job done to a point. Other guys you're looking at, Jabari Zuniga. he was a draft pick by the Jets, which I was not a huge fan of. If you watched my video from that, and a lot of these other guys are just depth. These are going to be your three main guys. I even think nose tackle's sort of a weak spot. Henry Anderson and Quinnen Williams can get the job done, though. I really liked Quinnen Williams out of Alabama, and I expect them to take a step up next year. So that's the strong suit of the offense, which is scary because it's kind of unproven as well. You're going to go to the pass rush / linebacking group, and it's rough. It's rough to say the least. I keep saying to say the least, but it's not great. You have Terrell Basham, Neville Hewitt, who, to be honest, until I did this deep dive for the New York Jets, I have not heard of. And I know it kind of makes me a bad analyst and fan, but I just haven't heard of this guy. If you haven't, here's your stuff on the Jets. He played on the Jets last year, 44 tackles, 3 sacks. Out of Marshall, it's his 6th season, so it's weird I haven't heard of him yet, but he's just been buried behind depth. He is in line, according to ESPN, to be the starting linebacker, which is a bit scary. And they have Avery Williamson, who isn't great by any means. He's definitely a big drop down from C.J. Mosley, but he's probably the best pure linebacker out of this group, I say, with caution. I like Blake Cashman a lot of Minnesota. He's buried in the depth chart here. I think he has sky-high potential. I really liked him coming out of the draft. Patrick O, I've known him. I remember him in Baltimore. He's not horrible either. He's not great, to be fair. They don't have him starting. But he's also not a horrible player. And then you look at some of the pass rush. This is where this team gets dogged hard. The front three can pass rush enough, Henry Anderson and Quinnen Williams. But your main 2 edge rushers in this base defense is Terrell Basham and Jordan Jenkins, which is concerning. Jordan Jenkins is probably the better one, although Terrell Basham, out of my college, Ohio University, so shout out to him. But it's a rough, I keep saying rough group, but that's all that there is on the Jets, in my opinion. I think Jets fans in general can agree this linebacking / edge rush group is pretty weak. And that's a place they need to improve, especially with the loss of Mosley opting out due to COVID. I think C.J. Mosley being on this team changes the conversation, but now that he's not, the linebacking group is pretty weak, among some of the weakest in the NFL. We go to the secondary now, and this is a bit more of a positive outlook, although they're going to get dogged by the loss of Jamal Adams. Looking at cornerback, Pierre Desir and Bleshwan Austin are not bad corners. Middle of the line, two very solid corners. I don't think secondary is going to be, or I don't think the corner position is going to be one the Jets address too soon, because I think there are some definitely decent players, especially these two. I think Bryce Hall has some starting potential. I don't think Brian Poole is that bad. So that's what you have there in the corner group. I think there are definitely some NFL quality starters here in the corner room for the Jets. And then you go to the safety room. Marcus May at strong is fine. Marcus May is a good safety for the most part. And then you downgrade from Jamal Adams to Bradley McDougald, which I think is going to hurt this team a lot. Jamal Adams is one of the best defensive players in the league last year, and you go from him to Bradley McDougald. That is going to hurt you. I'm not sure if I can quantify right now how hard that's going to hurt their defense. Just missing those two. They missed C.J. Mosley all of last season, for most of last season, so I can't say that's going to hurt them too bad. But the loss of Adams is going to hurt drastically. So a review of the defense. Front three are pretty good, and I think the 2 of the corners and Marcus May are solid, along with some of the secondary depth. Other than that, I'm not a big fan of much going on. In this defense, the identity is a bit confusing because their front of the line can stop the run, but their linebackers I'm not a fan of. So if the running back gets past there, I don't know who's going to stop him necessarily, especially without Adams anymore. But then at the same time, the secondary, the linebackers aren't going to be able to cover too well, and you lose Adams again, so that hurts them in both ways. Jamal Adams' loss hurts a lot. Now they can replace him with the picks they get in the future potentially, um, but this year it's going to hurt them badly. So that's what I have to say there. Underwhelming roster to say the least for the Jets. So we're going to hop over to the schedule now, and we're going to talk about what we have going on here. And it's not favorable for the Jets. They're fighting a third place schedule, which is going to hurt them, no doubt. All these games are canceled. We're not going to look at the preseason. We haven't been looking at the preseason anyways. Playing in the AFC East will help them, I have to admit. But the NFC West draw is also going to hurt them a lot in their NFC divisional games. So we look, Buffalo was a playoff team last year. San Fran was in the Super Bowl. Indy's going to be a tough out with Phillip Rivers. Denver's defense is ridiculous. Arizona's better. LA's defense is going to be tough. Buffalo again was in the playoffs. Kansas City won the Super Bowl. New England's always going to be relevant facing the Jets. Miami, they got better. I think the Jets can definitely beat Miami, but they did get better. Vegas is possible for them there as well. Then Seattle with Jamal Adams. I think Seattle can win that. I think LA can win that. I think these last 4 games are brutal for the Jets. I'm looking at them right there. If you want to do a win range games, I think they definitely can win. I think they can take 1 from Miami for sure. I think they can probably take 1 from Buffalo. I think they can win the Vegas game. So that's 3 wins right there, and then other ones they could possibly take. I could see them beating the Chargers if the Justin Herbert, Tyrod Taylor experience goes wrong, especially since there's probably no fans in the stadium, so home field advantage isn't going to play much of a factor in games. Other one, they could probably steal one from New England if I didn't say that yet. But again, there's a lot of games on this roster that are tough. So I'm thinking the win range for the Jets, and excuse me because this is pretty low, but that's what happens when you trade 2-star or 1-star player opts out and you trade another one. Also, one of your best receivers gets cut. I think it's like a 3 to 6 win range, or I think 3 is the lowest. I wouldn't be shocked if they won 7, but I don't think they're going to be a better team than last year. And I know wins don't always project what makes a team better, because most teams get better in the offseason and they can lose more games. So I think this Jets team with the loss of Jamal Adams gets worse. Whether that reflects on the win total or not, I don't know if we'll see that. But I think 3 to 7 wins is about the right range for the Jets this year as far as win total wise. So that's all I have to say today. Thank you for listening to me ramble about the Jets for a while. I've been Mo Sports Network. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys with the number 29 team in my power rankings. Peace out.